time. So we had a lot of fun. Lit practice years. Because then later on, we were actually making our own models. And so this is one of the first semester finals. And then it got even more complicated. And so the second class, which is the advanced class, you start building your own character from scratch. So you have this model, and that's it pictured in Maya, and light it up however you wanted. So we did all our backgrounds. So you can create whatever kind of field of vision, whatever lighting you wanted to do. And so this was visual development. And so you wouldn't know judging by this, but all of this is all fake. Every single piece is fake. And so we started off with these models, and we threw it to Substance Painter, excuse me. And you start painting. Here is actually the book. And so you'd actually paint the diffuse color, which is just all the colors you needed, all the things you wanted to color the book as. And you press through, you bake it, right? And it prints out a normal map, the specular roughness, and the specular. So the specular you can color a little bit, that's your shine. Normal is gonna give you the idea that has bumps, has creases, and that's gonna translate from colors into mathematics to trick the camera into looking like bumps that you see on screen, like you see in games. So specular roughness is pretty much kind of matte finish to dull things out. So anything that's white is really dull. Anything that's dark is very smooth. So that will give you your shine when combined with the specular. So you'll see that in the trimming of the book for all the shine, as well as these little pieces. I think this is just attaching a skin right from Maya. So that was very simple. But light scratches, I scratched in my signature there on one of the images. And it looks like it's gouged out. The lighting from the HDRI that lit up this page makes it all really nice. We also did the hand lighting for little key lights over here to match the mood. So we did more shading and lighting. We had to get a subject and light up this 3D model to match this. And the one I chose was key and fill. So you have your setup over there, something that Mike McEwen would be very familiar, you guys are very familiar with, and matching that up through the use of Maya. And so then we have test references. We have to match it on the bottom using all Maya resources, creating our own lights, key lights, and the sun. Everything's there, tube lighting. So just matching these up. Backlights, all the standard still life lighting up. This one was fun. Find any scene you wanted and then match the lighting as best as you could. So I picked the subjects on the top and then created an object, put an assembly of objects to kind of match the top. And then really the focus is on the lighting, trying to capture the same lighting, same softness. How close is the camera? How close is the light? Moving them around in the 3D space. And this was fun, just creating an environment, matching an environment so it looks exactly as the top reference. And then here we actually got to have independence and select colors, assign nodes to change the colors and qualities of all the fabrics and objects in the room. Outdoor practice. So we actually had to match the temperature of the sun and match it as best as we could. And then here adding the graphics to it, reference 4 examples, and then applying it to all the different objects that are in Maya. And so I do have the portfolio link. Double check with Tony, make sure that everything worked well with audio. So I hope there's no problems.
Is there sound?
Some of them have sound, some don't.
Okay.
So this one has
There
sound.
we go.
So
there we go. Yeah.
So this was fun. It was just a you are given a sound sample, and then 3 objects that have to make it in the scene, displaying what you feel those sounds kind of imitate, but in a visual way. So that was fun. Bouncing basics. And then this is an animation where you actually move the ball along in any way you wanted to creatively to give it a appeal is the practice. A lot of the other things of animation, bounce, squash, stretch. So the ball is, rigid, but we have to animate it by actually squishing it down, flattening it down, as you see there.
Right.
Anticipation, so pulling back was the main focus for the hammer. Expressions, playing with faces and bodies. This is a weight practice when an animation character pulls up his leg, what makes it look natural? Sitting to standing. It's doing little funny things in there. And then you can render it out, and that's how it looked like. This was a lot of the secondary movements that result, blocking it, and then animating the steps with smooth curves. So here's an example of blocking it in. So you're just working on the highlighted points, the exaggerated points, and then working the in-betweens. And this was matching the movement of our instructor, that's our actual teacher. And then following through, getting those little wibbles and wobbles in. Then using a different, more articulated model, doing the same flow. And then here's with all the in-betweens worked in and all the little tweaks. I look at it now, it's like, oh man, there's so many things I want to work on. And then this is an animated sketch. We developed all the movements. So I've recorded my body doing all these actions.
I can go out there tonight, make myself $15,000.
Mm-hmm.
You're like a 9-year-old trying to rebuild a motorbike in his bedroom.
There's another one that's more advanced class.
I always read the instructions.
You're like a 9-year-old trying to rebuild a motorbike in his bedroom. And you never read the instructions.
I always read the instructions.
Build a motorbike in his bedroom. And you never read the instructions.
You can see in the final, it doesn't look as similar. That's taking into concept all of the thoughts of the director, the teacher, like, oh, let's do this, let's speed this up. Oh, so we're jumping here into the VFX playlist of this video. And so this one is all on card using Nuke. And so cards are in a 3D space and you kind of project separate objects on each screen to give the illusion as the camera moves to the scene. And that's, what's mainly used in a lot of big motion pictures nowadays. So this is comping work, removing objects, line strings, changing colors, removing scratches. Here's roto work. This is everything's a little faster, but here's the roto work, blocking out in Nuke the subject, separating it from the background so you can have a separate asset. This one is a composite. There's a CG car in a CG environment. The environment's been tracked based on the background footage of the gas station, and then you're compiling it all together. So it's composited and layered into this format that looks like a car living in a real space. This is just sort of fixing backgrounds from real footage. This is more VFX works. We're adding a lot more details to a very bland original image.
What do you, what packages would you use, or is this all coming out of the, what software are you using for starters and other packages?
Oh, well, we actually have a student license. So I was incorrect in thinking that Nuke was completely free. It just meant some time I forgot. But so this is Nuke, that's based by Foundry, and it's all node-based. And if I go back to what it looks like here, this is what it looks like in the back end.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have the clean plate, you have your assets all in one sheet. Keep it nice, neat, and organized for different things. Here's the tracking for one of the things we did. RenderMan, this is everything that was in Maya that was actually a 3D object, bringing it into the scene, and then combining it all together for scene finishing here. And it would read out to that final output.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's the subject, added scratches, lighting in the background. This is tracking. So I think this was done in SynthEyes, which is tracking software. And then you bring it into Maya, you can add objects, and then you can actually put 3D objects that track. And this is more of the same work, creating all these tracking points. So here, you already have it blocked in. That means you have a 3D object, essentially, and you can layer in all sorts of things there. Here is my compositing demo reel, and it kind of breaks things down here for us. Final composition, fictional medical group. Here's the actual stock footage. So we had to clean plate it to remove this figure walking in the background. Wrote a work to isolate this woman so we can have this idea of having that advertisement. And, you know, it really goes with the pre-dev, like what do you want to do, what's your original intent, so you know how to progress forward. So originally, the man does not have, well, he does have a kite, but it's so far off screen. So this process of tracking it in Nuke and then finding assets so you have a guidepost when you bring it into Nuke. You need these kind of areas to know, okay, they'll be walking to here at this point. I need this to live in this timing for this environment. And so here's the compositing end after animating the kite, bringing that asset in and animating that motion so it looks like a way of kite would.
You animated his arm to go up like that too?
Oh no, that's a live action. Here's the final. The changes are small and they're hard to notice when they're not there.
Yeah.
Here's the tracking.
Yeah.
So you have your person in the background for reference to scale everything.
Okay.
So there was no patch there, and kind of refine it. There's a lot of technical aspects of it, tracing, following, subject. That's all built into Nuke. And then the birds are added in there in the background.
Yeah.
And that's all through Nuke, which have these bird assets that fly on a card in the background. All right, so this one is actually, we created a rig. Well, we had this asset, this robot arm, and then we'd have to attach all the dials to make it turn, lift, move,